I love SCP versus videos, guys. Today we have SCP-999, everybody's favorite, the most lovable, cute, adorable pile of pudding in the SCP universe is getting to face some of the most sinister, I guess, the evil ones. 096 is on the cover, so I imagine that it's gonna be pretty good. I would love to see SCP-999 versus the old man, because he's like the most evil. But I'm willing to bet 999 is gonna win them all. At any rate, guys, we're gonna react to it. This one's by SCP Explained. Make sure to subscribe to them. Subscribe to me if you like reaction videos. Let's get into this one.
SCP-999, also known as the Tickle Monster.
The Tickle Monster.
It's one of the most adorable, beloved, and undeniably wholesome anomalies ever to exist in the SCP Foundation's containment facilities. Its mere presence can cause joy and comfort, cure depression, and other mental illnesses, and even sometimes cause violent and unpredictable creatures to really mellow out.
Chill out.
If you're a fan of this channel, chances are that you're a big fan of SCP-999 too. But that doesn't mean everyone is on board.
Correct.
As we all know, there are plenty of entities and groups in the SCP universe that are downright evil.
That's
true.
As a
result, would love to see this little blob of pure joy crushed to a pulp or
I don't know about the
sacrificed to a
GOC would do
horror.
that too.
But you can't ever underestimate. You can't ever underestimate SCP-999. Not only is it tickled SCP-682 into submission, there are also certain theories floating around the Foundation that it will one day grow so powerful, its forces of pure goodness and joy can overthrow the Scarlet King himself.
That's right.
That's why today, we're throwing the Tickle Monster into a kind of royal rumble with all the baddest dudes the Foundation has ever encountered.
Oh, the old man is there.
We're going to give our theories on how SCP-999 might somehow find the good and even the blackest of hearts.
Sounds good.
First, SCP-096, the Shy Guy. A killing machine so brutal, direct, and opaque in its motives that some have even questioned whether it actually has sentience. However, we'd personally stake our claim that it does. When a photo of this savage beast was taken with SCP-978, the Desire camera, a camera that shows the deepest desire of its subjects, it revealed that the Shy Guy secretly just had the desire to disappear. Not only does this suggest that the monster may not actually like killing people,
he's in
but
torment.
The very idea that it can have a desire also implies some level of intelligence. But how would SCP-999 enter the mix? Well, we know that 096 is an anxious creature. It spends the majority of its time just pacing its cell. And when someone sees its face, it begins sobbing uncontrollably before entering its rage state. Does this sound like a happy entity to you?
No.
If the Shy Guy encountered 999 at its full joy-giving power, we'd personally think that it might finally chill out a little. Perhaps it'd take a moment to breathe and contemplate life a little more. Maybe it would wonder why it's so ashamed of its face and feels the need to hunt down and kill anyone who sees it. After all, there are much uglier anomalies, like SCP-106.
106 is,
he's the next monster to join this weird, wild cage match against SCP-999. While 096 is violent,
most sinister,
106 is downright malevolent. He's not just sentient, but extremely intelligent. The old man loves causing pain and suffering for his own perverse pleasure, just as much as heavy hitters like SCP-682.
Well, 682
so surely
doesn't...
999 would have its work cut out for it here. Well,
682 kills mercilessly, but
there are two leading theories about who 106 actually is. One being the Scranton theory, and the other the Corporal Lawrence theory. The first dictates that 106 is the result of Dr. Robert Scranton, physically and mentally transformed by his time in SCP-3001, the terrifying Red Reality. The second theory was that he was a World War I soldier known as Corporal
Lawrence, lot of people think,
whose anomalous encounter in the trenches turned him into the beast he is today. In either case, he's a man shaped by pain and anomalous trauma. Much like 096, the Desire camera revealed an insight into 106's mind. His greatest desire consists of him walking across a field towards an old house, where an old woman smiles and waits for him. Many believe this old woman to be his estranged wife. Perhaps an encounter with SCP-999 would cause 106's sadism to abate, reminding him of the humanity he once had. Maybe he'd become a kindly old man in the aftermath, who prefers Werther's originals to violence and spinning long, rambling yarns about the war
Werther's are
rather
pretty
than
good,
chasing
man.
people around
Even the
his
Sugar Free's
terrifying
good.
pocket dimension. It's a thought so sweet it could almost make you sick. Thankfully, one of our favorite doctors is next on the list. Specifically, the Plague Doctor.
The Plague Doctor. I think we've already seen him go up
isn't
against
as dangerous or malicious
999.
as either of his predecessors. 049 has racked up quite a body count in his hundreds of years of operations.
Of course.
He sees pestilence everywhere he goes.
But 999, he said, doesn't have the pestilence.
And can kill with a mere touch. However, his deadly touch only seems to apply to non-anomalous animals and humans.
Correct.
Not other anomalies. So he definitely couldn't harm 999, and the Tickle Monster, conversely, could definitely touch him
SCP that converts
While the
him
Plague
to
Doctor is
superfine.
the serious type, he might not be able to keep his
if y'all saw
bedside
that
manner
animation
after
by
a
Jordan
serious
Productions.
tickling. And we'd be more than willing to hedge our bets on him having the laugh of an angel. While 049 may have folded in the face of 999's tickling wrath, our next contestant is as solid as a rock. Well, technically, as solid as concrete. And that's because it's SCP-173, also known as the Sculpture, or the Peanut. It shows no emotions and murders anything that blinks in its presence by snapping its neck.
Emotion, though?
But 999 doesn't even have bones, let alone a neck.
Right.
So SCP-173 has nothing with which to threaten this happy little blob. What about SCP-999's counteroffensive? If the Tickle Monster got its slime all over SCP-173, it might finally reform this statuesque serial killer through prolonged exposure. Maybe after that, 173 will finally give relaxing neck massages rather than snapping them. But while the sculpture may be intimidating, it's nothing compared to an unkillable, mass-murdering Blade Master, right? Of course, we're talking about SCP-076,
Cain.
also known as
Abel. Sorry.
No matter how many times he gets put down,
sometimes.
He keeps coming back with unparalleled skills in physical combat and the ability to pull huge blades out of thin air. He also appears to be fueled by pure, unstoppable rage. So how on earth could our adorable little Tickle Monster possibly go toe-to-toe with a swordsman who cuts through elite mobile task force soldiers like a hot knife through a D-class? Much like SCP-106, it seems like a lot of Abel's rage is rooted in a deep pain caused by his past. If he truly is the biblical Abel, it's likely that his rage stems from being the very first murder victim, betrayed and killed by his brother Cain, now known as SCP-073. Spending time with SCP-999 might finally calm him down enough to actually work through some of these issues and come to a sense of closure. Maybe with SCP-999
starting to get a lot of reaction videos on the channel too,
Abel could attend some therapy sessions with Foundation psychologists
a bunch of SCP.
until he finally felt as though he'd moved past his murderous urges, perhaps even working up to
999 will fix it all.
He could then re-enter society and reapply his expert knife skills and become a Bobby Flay-style celebrity chef. Except one who could actually flay you if you got on his bad side. But let's talk about an SCP that's frankly dangerous to even discuss. I am, of course, referring to SCP-2521. Okay, great, I'm not dead. Wonderful, let's carry on. 2521 is attracted to any information about it, written or spoken. It will immediately appear upon the creation of this information and steal either the information itself or the person disseminating it, in the case of verbal words. If someone were to pass SCP-999 a fact sheet about SCP-2521, it would inevitably manifest and prepare to throw down. But perhaps the positive influence of SCP-999 would change SCP-2521's tune. Rather than obsessively stealing information about itself, the being may instead finally open up and speak about itself.
You think?
We might even learn some interesting things, like the fact it used to have a bowling team with
Oh my god, look
and
at this.
SCP-049. He also loves knitting.
Oh, come on, not again!
No.
Now, how about we go for something a little closer to human, please? SCP-02,
Fernand. So I've never actually
a huge
done a
overlike
reaction
humanoid
videos to this,
that has a
but
penchant for pathological lies and also devouring human heads.
Forget his
and,
name.
well, the rest of the body on, and, well, the rest of the body too, if he's worked up enough of an appetite.
He was in that comedy
series.
series.
Has a hide so thick that seemingly no weapon can penetrate it. How could SCP-999 possibly go around with a behemoth like this? Lucky for 999, Fernand has an extremely cheerful temperament. If a potential victim can keep him amused, often listening and playing along with his elaborate fantasies, it massively increases their chance of survival.
Connor was able to keep him occupied for a little while.
A good vibes machine. There's a good chance that it'd keep Ferdinand so amused that the thought of getting hangry wouldn't even cross his mind. Once again, little SCP-999 takes home the W. But what about a real sadist? A truly heartless monster whose commitment to focused, endless cruelty is genuinely unparalleled. We're talking about the being from SCP-3999. This terrifyingly powerful reality warper hasn't racked up scores of victims because it prefers the quality of suffering over quantity. It'll select a single victim, trap them in their own personal hell, and spend a literal eternity conceiving every possible torture and torment to break the spirits and bodies of the
I've never covered
giving
this
them
one,
the
I don't think.
luxury of death. However, if an entity could turn the tables and break the spirit of SCP-3999, it would be SCP-999.
It's true.
Picture it. Thousands of years where the monster tries everything it can to break the Tickle Monster's spirit, only to find its own spirit being broken as SCP-999 doesn't succumb to any of it. It continues to project love and kindness throughout. Could you imagine anything more frustrating for a creature like 3999? Eventually, it would probably get so frustrated that it would let 999 go, and find some hapless Foundation researcher to torture instead. Going up against a single anomalous being, regardless of its power, is one thing, but taking on an entire group is another challenge for SCP-999. What if 999 became trapped in SCP-3008, the Endless IKEA, surrounded by the deadly staff in the middle of the night? Our theory is that the positive presence of SCP-999 would really help the nightmarish malformed staff of this accursed IKEA turn their lives around and start creating a more positive work environment.
But they aren't sentient, are they?
Rather than trying to chase survivors trapped inside the store and beat them to death, they would instead help them find the ideal furniture for enhancing their lifestyle if they ever managed to escape the building.
Oh my God.
999 would help them go from horrifying to helpful in no time. It'd be so nice in there that the survivors wouldn't even want to leave. But what about groups of interest? Let's say the Chaos Insurgency has broken into a containment site in another one of its classic raids against the Foundation. Would a group of elite Chaos Insurgency operatives be able to take down the Tickle Monster? We think not. While these anomaly-stealing militants may be hardcore compared to your average Joe, they're nowhere near as hateful or irredeemable as the likes of 682 or 106. Chances are, if they've spent any amount of time around 999, they'd experience a sudden sense of mellowness and begin to rethink all of their poor life choices. But what about the GOC? Those government stooges obsessed with killing any anomaly they can get their hands on. Personally, we theorize that a run-in with SCP-999 and the immensely positive feelings it causes would cause them to reevaluate their entire philosophy on the anomalies they encounter and lead them to restructure their entire organization from the ground up. Perhaps they'd even promote SCP-999 to the position of Undersecretary General, and perhaps even change the meaning of the group's acronym to Givers of Cuddles in honor of their new leader and direction. We can dream, right? But let's end this dream with a nightmare. The Scarlet King, the most dangerous being in the entire multiverse, who is also strongly believed to be SCP-999's real father. Awkward. Can ultimate good someday defeat ultimate evil?
Yes.
According to ancient Diavate prophecies, a terrifying historical culture that worshipped the Scarlet King.
It's a very interesting SCP path
if given the time and nurturing it needs to reach full power. How exactly would that battle play out? Well, it's difficult to even theorize, but chances are it'd be a battle of truly biblical proportions. And if ever the Scarlet King did breach our dimension, it's safe to say that you'd want your own little SCP-999 close at hand.
Oh gosh, that was pretty silly, guys. To tell you the truth, SCP-999, I think, is incapable of actually beating anything outside of converting it to something that doesn't want to attack it. You know what I mean? That's essentially the win that I'm thinking of, at least in almost every case that you can imagine. Unless, of course, there's something that stops it from feeling emotion, it's definitely going to, like being non-sentient, for instance, if it was just an object, it would definitely succumb to SCP-999. At least that's how I think. Maybe you have a different opinion. Let me know in the comments, guys. This was SCP Explained. Make sure to subscribe to their channel. Subscribe to my channel if you like reaction videos too. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.